All right, Dehaven, how's it going?
Oh, great, man. I can't complain, man. I can't complain. Nothing but about the weather. That's the only thing I can complain about is the weather.
I know it gets cold and snowy back there during this time.
Yeah. But everything is good. I ain't gonna be able to complain, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Well, we'll get to know you a little bit better. I think most people probably know you're from Brooklyn, from Marcy, but can you just kind of paint that picture for me of what it was like for you growing up?
Oh man. A little bit different from a bunch of little kids, man. I kind of was in the street really early. In Marcy back then in the early 80s. I was just one of those kids that loved the hustle, loved money, always kept something going, stayed out of trouble, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, from Brooklyn, Marcy Projects, Jay-Z, one of my best friends growing up for 30 years. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background, Traveled, played the game, been through the system, and now just ready to talk about my life story and where it brought me to.
Do you have a favorite memory from when you were a kid?
Yeah, man. Basically, actually, the skating ring, man. I was a skating fanatic back then and shit. And we only had one skating ring in our side of town, the Bed-Stuy, Skate City. So that was just one of my great hobbies of enjoying myself as a kid. Everything else outside of that was like a hustle, man. From, paper route to packing grocery bags to running numbers to cleaning up bars. Like everything else was just like a hustle to me. But one of the best things I liked about that I remember about as a kid was skating and catching bees, man. I was one of the best bee catchers around in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? No matter what, I just had a hobby, man. I used to walk around with a big jar of bees and shit. But that was it, man. That's one of the great things I like about my childhood that I experienced as a kid.
What was Marcy Projects like back then?
Marcy Projects it's sort of like, survival of the fittest. You get what I'm saying? You got alpha males and then you had the pups, bro. You either one or the other. But I can't say it was that much violence back then. Marcy wasn't that much violence because it was a different parents back then. It was a different generation. So we wasn't exposed to as much violence as we are now. So, back then Marcy was about community. You know what I'm saying? It had its little ins and outs and you knew who the gangsters was, but a lot of us didn't see that because there was a lot of morals and principles in what they did back then. So, Marcy was all right, man, but it was just like, you could still be a kid in there.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have one brother, sibling living now, and I had two sisters that passed away from drugs and shit. That's what I talk about in my story too. And we all grew up in Marcy, man. That's it. It's just me and my brother and my mom now. And she's the star of my documentary. But yeah, that's it, man. It's just us now.
Now, Marcy is a big project building. Growing up, at one point, did you and Jay-Z meet or did your families know each other?
Well, my family my moms knew his mother before I got there because I was staying with my grandmother. But once I got there and stuff, she introduced me. She said, yo, my girlfriend has a neighbor and she has a son and two girls, because it ended up all of us, Jay's sisters was best friends with my sisters and my brothers was best friends and my mothers. So we kind of integrated our family, you know what I mean? So not with just his family, because it's a building and a project building, like all our families inside that building is like that, So it wasn't just the Irbies and the Carters, it was this whole building of 24 apartments in there, and every one of them was your family. But since Jay was on our floor, you know what I'm saying, it was easy for me to go out my door, in his door. So we really played like one family. When I got there, I went to school, we was in 4th grade together. And we ain't looked back from there.
So you guys lived in the same building and on the same floor?
Same building, same floor. And it was so ironic, man. It's Bleak too. Memphis Bleak, same building, same floor. Same building, just 2 floors down. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we integrated a lot, man. It's a lot of it's more than just me and Jay that came from our building that was successful in life and shit. You know what I mean? That, we had a lot of good people in our building that, made it that helped us out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're familiar with Shirt Kings, but the guy Nike, you know what I'm saying, one of the greatest, that put prints on shirts back in the days that done stuff for all of the people in the industry. He from our building, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we had some, celebrities that came from 534 other than just Jay and Bleak,
What about Jazzo?
Jazzo from the other side of the projects, because Marcy has 2 sides, right? Jazzo from the other side of the projects, as you see Jay say, we don't walk too much. You know what I'm saying? So they was from a different side, but when it came down to music, man, that shit integrated everybody and shit, but Jazzo was the name to know from the other side of the projects, though.
What was school like for you during these times?
I was a sports fanatic, so I never had a problem. I was bored with school. I was always smart to begin with, you know what I'm saying? But what kept me from school, I was just bored with school. Coming up, sports kept me in school. I can't really recall after graduating from public school to junior high, I really can't even recall going back to class after that. I was so good in sports. The coach used to be like, just show up for the game, just show up, just show up. You know what I'm saying? But school was I had it all back then. Once I hit 15, 14 years old, when I got into junior high school, man, I never wanted for nothing in school. I always had the best girls. I always had the best clothes. I always kept money in my pocket. So school for me was just like an easy pass through. And speaking of that, that's what led me to Trenton. We'll talk about how I got to Trenton was through school and my basketball skills. My coach really, really tried to look out for me and set me in the best program that I can, because he seen my life turn into the streets. So he gave me an opportunity to play in Trenton. And when I got to Trenton, man, they had a good program, but I saw even more opportunity in the streets in Trenton than I did in New York. So I just started, not paying attention to the program and shit. I even had a lot of people that went to the NBA and to the league, to colleges from Trenton. I went to school with them, and I was in high school with them. They used to tell me, yo, why don't you just come to the games and play, bro, we can make it. Half of those guys that used to tell me that went on to college, and some went to the pros. But my life, I just chose an easier route. I thought was going to be an easier route,
What was Jay-Z like in school?
He was in a higher grade than me, right? So, you know what I mean? Because I had changed schools, so Jay was a level up a higher grade than me. So we didn't never really hang out in school. This was basically all the way, when we get home from school, we together from the rest of the day. But in school, everybody doing their own thing, man. He was more quiet and kept with a different circle. You know what I mean? We really didn't bond in school like that, man, in school, because he associated with a different crowd than I did, because I didn't know them, because I was coming from another school. And the person I knew, he was real gangster hard, young dude that was teaching me the ropes. You know what I'm saying? So I hung out with them. I hung out with him to avoid getting robbed from gangs, and he was schooling me because I done seen Jay and them go through a lot of problems going to school, and I wasn't about to have that. I wasn't having that.
Well, what kind of problems were they going through?
Like, for instance, like Marcy is like 2 blocks from the school, from our projects. I mean, the school is 2 blocks up. And during this walk to school, you have to pass these gangs, right? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of school kids from Marcy used to get stopped by the gangs, and they go in their pockets, take their little school money, take their bus passes, and that's the shit that I used to see happen at Jay and them. This was like before I really known them. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I used to go to school with another guy and shit, but he was just more different. He used to be like, nah, that's not gonna be us. That's not gonna be you. You see, they don't mess with me. You know what I'm saying? For these obvious reasons, because I'm a fight, you know what I'm saying? So he started teaching me, you know what I'm saying, how to be hard and conduct myself and not be no punk type of shit. So I was going to school with him, and it's funny that when they did approach us one time and shit, my boy, he like showed out so much, you know what I'm saying? It was like 3 or 4, it was like 4 of them and just me and him. And my boy like, yo, hold my book bag and shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fight all of you, I'm gonna fight all of y'all and shit. And he like flipped the game on them and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, instead of them just jumping us, like he flipped the game so hard, like, yo, you know what? Hold my bag, Dehaven. I'm gonna fight you, and you and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it ended up, they all got scared and shit was like, yo, listen, bro, we cool, you cool, we ain't gonna do this. And once I saw that, you know what I'm saying? And once he showed me that, you know, just don't back down, you know what I mean? I never looked back from there. So that was my principles. And when I got to meet Jay and found out he was in my building and he lived in my building, just told him, yo, come to school with me, man, we good. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it, they ain't gonna mess with us. They knew my cousin and shit, and they already seen my face. From there, I pretty much had a pass to go to school from there.
So you guys were like really young during this time, man. Like what? Like this is like elementary school?
Yeah, elementary, man. Yeah. Okay. 5th grade, 4th grade, yeah.